Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to talk about horror and books. And today I'm here to give you a couple of options for the prompts from the evilathon 2023.
It's coffee time!
So if you missed my last video, it was the announcement for the evilathon 2023. It is a readathon I like to host every year, and the purpose of the readathon is just to motivate people to read a little bit more horror before Christmas comes around. Give people the opportunity to keep reading horror past Halloween season. Maybe there were some books that you still wanted to read and you didn't get to in October. So November is still going to be a horror month for us. So the readathon is going to take place the whole month of November. To check all the prompts and everything, the whole announcement, you can go to my last video. Today I'm only here to let you know a couple of book options for each of the prompts. The first prompt is going to be very subjective, like everyone is going to have a different pick for this one. It is The Needle Pit, which is to read a book that has piqued your interest because you've seen it around. It's a book that has been kind of on your radar and you've been meaning to get to it. For me personally, it's going to be Five Survive by Holly Jackson, because that's a book that I have been seeing around, that I have been meaning to pick up, that I really want to read, and I wanted to originally read it in October, but October is approaching its end and I know I'm not going to be able to read it, so I'm going to put it directly on my November TBR pile. And it's also one of the ones I'm going to read at the beginning of November. Hopefully I get to read it before I go to Yelk and meet the author. For you, this can be a book that keeps popping up either on your TikTok, on your Instagram, or a book that you have seen recently a lot of booktubers mentioning, something that has kind of piqued your interest. And it doesn't have to be a new release, it can be any type of book, as long as it's horror, of course. The Bathroom Trap is to read a book that you expect to give a 5-star to. Now, this one I know it's hard because sometimes we have expectations for certain books and then we might get disappointed. Here, my advice would be for you guys to read a book maybe of one of your favorite authors. That tends to be kind of like a safe bet. At least maybe if it's not a 5, it might be a 4 or a 4.5. So for these myself, I'm going to be finally picking up Holy by Stephen King, which has been on my list as well, but I still have not managed to read. For you guys, it can also be perhaps a very expected sequel or very expected like book release that you have been meaning to get to. But be careful with sequels because we know that they can be a little bit tricky. Angel Trap is to read a book that has either a supernatural or a paranormal theme, and for this there are so many options out there. It also kind of depends on the type of reader that you are. You could potentially go back to the classics. There are some classics out there that maybe you have not checked out yet. From Shirley Jackson, We Have Always Lived in a Castle, and obviously the classic The Haunting of Hill House, which is a great ghost story if you have not read it yet. From Susan Hill, you have The Mist in the Mirror, and obviously her most well-known story, which is The Woman in Black. For The Haunting of Hill House, you also have a TV show that you can watch after you read the book. And from The Woman in Black, you have 2 movies actually. The first one is the good one that has Daniel Radcliffe in it, so you can also potentially read the book and watch the movie. You can also pick a book by Darcy Coates. She has many that are, you know, supernatural and that have ghosts in them. The only one that I have read myself is The Haunting of Ashbourne House, but I really did enjoy that one. I really like the main character. She also has a cat, so it was perfect for me. She also has The Haunting of Lee Harker and Gallows Hill. I mean, she has so many books out there and she's very popular. Everybody loves her ghost stories, so it's kind of like a safe bet as well. If you are a romance reader but you want to incorporate a little bit more horror this year into your reading, you can choose one of these like paranormal romance books. There are many out there. A lot of them are series, so make sure the one you're reading is not book 3 in a series, but this is a good choice if you want to get a little bit into more like horror reads but still keep the romance. Then you can also read something like Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This is more of a horror thriller, and it does take place in a house that is believed to be haunted, and somebody that goes there to investigate to see if the stories about this haunted house are true or not. So I really did enjoy that one as well, and I think it's another solid choice. Scalping Seed is to read a book that has been recommended by your bestie, maybe a book that someone has been begging you to read. If your bestie or your friends don't really read horror, then maybe pick a book that is a favorite by a horror booktuber or a booktuber that reads horror, and choose to read that one. For me particularly, I'm not really sure yet which one I'm gonna pick, but I think I'm gonna go for a very disturbing book. I do have still a list of very disturbing books that have been recommended to me. Some of them have been recommended to me multiple times, so I might pick up one of those, because I still want to do a reading vlog in which I only read really disturbing books. So I might be picking up the first book for that vlog. But you need to choose something that is comfortable for you. The books that I have in that list are quite intense, and they're going to be extremely disturbing, so I know what I'm getting myself into, and I also feel like I'm in the mood for something like that. I've been reading more YA and more red wine royal blue lately, so I feel like I need a really dark, disturbing, messed up book right now in my life. So that's what I'm gonna be reading in the month of November. Also, if anybody's interested, I am on rewatch number 67 as of now.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
And last Tuesday night, there was a deleted scene that was just dropped without any warning from Red Wine Royal Blue. I opened my Instagram, and the first thing that I saw was the deleted scene. I played it. I didn't sleep that night, and I have not yet recovered, but this is a story for another time. Anyway, let's keep going with the prompts. Shotgun Carousel is to read a book that you have on your to be read list or physical pile. It's a little bit easier if you have a Goodreads list of books that you want to read, especially if you have a Goodreads list that is titled horror or spooky reads or Halloween reads or something like that. Then just use a random number generator and see which book is recommended to you then. If you have a physical TBR pile of horror books, maybe put the ones that you're more interested in together in a pile, count how many those are, and then generate a random number. Make it work for you, but just pick a book at random from your either physical or your Goodreads TBR pile. Death Mask is to read a horror book with a masked killer in it. I am aware this is probably the hardest prompt of the list. It's a little bit harder to know before you actually read the book. I do have a couple of options for you. I have Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar, because there are people dressed in clowns. This is a YA slasher. Was a lot of fun. Book 2 is also already out. This is a great pick if you love slashers, but you're looking for a YA read. It's quite intense for a YA. And also I think this is perfect for the Halloween season still. This has all those good vibes. Tastes Like Candy by evilathon is another one that you can pick. This one takes place at a carnival. This one is short. And also we have a madman in a rubber mask that is the one doing the slashing. This one is fun, is quick, is fast-paced, so it's a lot of fun if you're just looking for a quick slasher. Then there's Security by Gina Waldorf. I read this one several years back and I really enjoyed it. It's also one that is not too long, and it has a really cool concept. It is about a hotel that it's about to open its doors, and it's supposed to be the most secure hotel with the best like camera surveillance and everything. And some of the people that are gonna work at the hotel have kind of like a meeting before the hotel opens up, but they are trapped inside of the hotel, and there is a killer on the loose that is hunting for them. As I remember, this killer has a specific like look to him. I don't remember 100% if he had a mask on, but I know he had some sort of like clothing that was particular to him. But anyway, this is one that I thought it was great and it was different. It's quite intense when it comes to the deaths, but if you have not read it yet, it's another one that it's not too long, so it might be a good potential candidate. Now that being said, I know it's hard to find a book that has either a killer with a mask or with a very specific outfit, like a clown outfit or something. If you know of any and you have any on your TBR pile, perfect. If not, don't stress yourself out. Just pick a book that is a slasher and make it count for the prompt. We're here to have fun. We're not here to get stressed about finding books for prompts. It's just about the fun of reading horror. So if you cannot find a book with a mask killer or anything like that, just pick up a fun slasher. Laser color is to read a horror sci-fi. So for this, some that I have really enjoyed are The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. This one takes place underwater in very tight spaces. So if that's something that really works well for you, I would pick that one. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was so tense and so well done, how they're building up all of the scenes, and it really gets more and more terrifying as we go, and there are some twists and turns to the story. Then there is Annihilation by James Vandermeer. I love the first book. I thought it was fantastic. It's the great blend between horror and sci-fi. Not such a huge fan of book 2, never made it to book 3, so I'm considering this one a one book a one book thing. I would reread Annihilation anytime, and I would recommend it to you guys as well. I think this one is also not too long, and there's also a movie if you want to check it out. Then there is Contagion by Erin Bowman, which is a YA that I really enjoyed. It is a duology, and in the first book basically you have these people that are in a ship and they get like a distress call from someone, so they go with a spaceship there, and they realize that the people that send a distress call seem all to be dead. Something happened to them, and yeah, it's really cool. I really liked the first book. The second one was just okay, but it is a fun duology. You can also read The Tommyknockers by Stephen King, but I believe that one is around 700 pages. I think this is one of the big ones, so proceed at your own caution, because this is a chunker, but it is one that maybe you've been meaning to read and would like to read. And then there is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, and this is one that I have not read myself, but I heard many people loved it, so maybe it's an option for you. I think it's another one where a spaceship gets a distress call from someone and they go investigate and stuff like that. That's how most of the sci-fi horror starts. But yeah, if you have any other suggestions for people, let us know in the comments. The next prompt is Public Execution, which is to read a book that you would not like to read in public, or people to see your reactions, your faces while you're reading. And this is also very personal, because there might be certain covers that you don't want people to see. There might be also some books that are quite disturbing and you might make some faces while you're reading them. Books that I can recommend you that I think are truly disturbing is True Crime and Wife by Samantha Kolesnik. Definitely super disturbing, and these are novellas, so they are quick reads. You can also grab anything by Eric LaRocca. They are all quick reads and they are quite intense and disturbing. You have Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterrica, which I also think might cause you some reactions while you're reading the book, because it's also quite disturbing. You can also pick some kind of horror book that has smut in it. I personally don't read these ones. I don't know why. I mean, I don't mind smut or romance, but I kind of like to keep these things separate. I know there are also some horror smut books with monsters where people do things with said monsters. If this is your jam, go for it. It's not really my thing, but if that's something that you like, that might be something that may make you uncomfortable to read in public. Moving on to the next prompt, which is The Pendulum Trap, and that is to read a short horror story. And there are many books out there. I just finished reading A Taste of Darkness, which is a YA compilation of short horror stories that I truly love, so I would recommend you that one. Also, it's new, so you probably have not read it yet. Of course, you have classics like Night Shift by Stephen King, which is one of my favorite short horror story books. You have Autumn Crawl by Cameron Chaney, which is another one of my favorite short horror story books. That one is short, and also all the stories are interconnected, and it is about Halloween, so also again perfect for the season. Then you have Ellen Dutlow, and she has edited so many horror books, so many horror collections, that you can just type her name on Goodreads and you will get a big list of short horror story compilations, and you can just just pick one of those. Then you have Out There Screaming, a black horror anthology by Jordan Peele, and these are all curated stories that Jordan Peele has selected. This sounds amazing. I really need to get this one, and this one came out not long ago, so again, it might be one that you have not had the chance to check out yet. And then you have Local Hands, Served Cold, and Lurking in the Dark. These are 3 horror booktuber anthologies, so these are all tales, like all short horror stories written by horror booktubers, so these are great if you want to pick them up also to support the community. And number 10, we made it to number 10, which is The Rack, to watch a horror movie that has some sort of religious theme. And I do have quite some recommendations here as well, because it depends so much what type of horror you're into or kind of movies you like. So let's go through some of those titles. You have The Exorcist, you have The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and one that came out I think last year is Pray for the Devil. I didn't think it was like perfection or anything like that, but it was a fun new one that I could recommend you guys. Then you have things like The Nun, which is a spin-off from the Conjuring universe, and you have the classic The Omen. You can either watch the originals or you can watch the remake. You can go kind of more folklore horror. You can go for The Wicker Man. You can watch Apostle. This is a Netflix exclusive. So far is my absolute favorite Netflix horror movie. Apostle is fantastic. A little bit disturbing, but it's fantastic. And then you can also even stretch it to Midsommar, which is another movie that I really enjoyed. If you're looking for something a little bit more artsy, a little bit more mentally, psychologically disturbing, movies that force you to think a little bit more, movies like the serious movies from A24, you can watch The Witch, which was Robert Eggers' debut film. It is absolutely fantastic. It has Anna Taylor-Joy in it, and it's a great movie. You could also watch something like The Lodge. This one is extremely disturbing, but honestly is one of the best movies I've seen. I love this movie so much, but it's quite intense. And you also have Saint Maud, another movie that I loved. I love that movie, would recommend it to you guys, but these 3 are very specific. Like, you have to be a very specific type of viewer to enjoy these ones. These are basically not for your regular, you know, movie-goer person. These are for people that are more into the artsy filmmaking stuff. Alright guys, so these were all the recommendations of things that you can choose for your proms, but of course there are so many options out there. Let us know in the comments, what are you going to be reading? Do you have great recommendations for the proms? Leave them down below so we can help each other to find books for the November TBR pile for the Evilathon. I hope you guys have a lot of fun picking the books and joining the readathon this year. I am super excited to start it with you guys. Let me know once you have your TBR pile, make a picture, tag me on it, let me know what you're gonna be reading. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in our next coffee time. Bye!